Welcome to the Love, Discovery, and
Dim Sum
podcast. Wow, it's been an interesting week, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you know, we've been doing our podcast monthly, and last month we did talk a little bit about coronavirus, thinking like, oh, you know, it'll blow over. And if anything, it's actually
Hoping at least.
gotten worse. And today, so we're going to talk a little bit about the fallout from coronavirus. And also how we were personally affected in some of the events. And I think everybody that's listening is probably affected to some degree. So let's talk about Cinequest. Last time we, did our podcast, we were announcing our big world premiere at Cinequest
Right.
in San Jose.
And we did it.
We did half of it.
Well, 2/3 of it.
2/3 of it in our case.
We got lucky.
We had our world premiere over the weekend and had actually a great crowd considering all the warnings. I mean, you're walking around downtown San Jose or in other parts in Redwood City where our screenings were, and there were a lot
empty.
fewer people.
We hardly ran into anybody. There was nobody on the streets.
And the fact that it was cloudy and windy, it kind of had that, deserted old town feel to it. I was expecting tumbleweed to go through the streets in any second. But
apparently that didn't stop them before in the past. I mean, Cinequest is usually supposed to be hustling and bustling no matter what.
Yeah, normally they expect about 100,000 people to attend that every single year. And, it was really strange just to see that some screenings. I went to another documentary screening, and it was, there were probably about a third full. So it wasn't bad. Of course, it was a daytime screening too, but it wasn't terrible. It wasn't like 10 people in the audience, right? So there were still a good, amount of crowd who came out despite the warnings.
But we did have our screening at the theater in Redwood City, and it was a smaller venue, but it was an actual theater.
It was a multiplex,
Right.
Century 20 out there. Thank you. If you're listening and you're one of the people who came out, we are so grateful that you came out. We know one person bought 18 tickets, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't even have 18 family members, but he got 18 tickets. And now for the sort of sad part, right? We found out, it was actually Saturday morning,
before
our
first
screening. And I was actually sitting in the other film screening, and they had made the announcement that they were going to cancel the back half of Cinequest starting Monday. So they were going to continue to have all the screenings through the weekend, which makes sense, right? Because you just can't stop everything. It's not like people were dropping like flies and zombies were attacking the theater. But they did make the decision with the consultation of the city to cancel the back half.
I think they were actually forced by the city.
Yeah, I don't think they really had much of a choice. I think everybody in the city was just shutting everything down. Just like South by Southwest. It wasn't really South by Southwest's decision to shut down the festival. It was really the city of Austin that said, hey, we don't want 400,000 people coming here because we're afraid somebody might bring the coronavirus. And they're kind of international. I mean, ours was an international film festival too. So there are definitely concerns. And as it turns out, I was supposed to fly out Monday to come back to LA.
Right, and
you were going to stay.
I was going to stay, and then my parents were like, do you guys really want to get on a plane because, recirculating air, blah, blah, blah. And so we thought about it, and we're like, okay, we don't want to live in fear, but we do want to take precautions. And there's definitely a difference between that. So we took precautions, and we canceled your flight.
We canceled my flight, and then, of course, later on we found out the whole festival was canceled anyway, so I had to cancel my flight. And I thought your dad was just being, overreacting and all that. So then yesterday it came out in the news that 3 TSA workers at San Jose airport actually were tested positive for the coronavirus. So in some sense, thank you, Dad, for being overprotective.
Now, of course, we don't want to say they got tested for it and they're dead, right?
No, they're not. They're
I
just
think that's
sick.
kind of
I think that's the thing. It's not. You know what I liken it to? That some of the hysteria surrounding this. When you watch a movie like Alien or any of the horror movies where there's some or zombie attack. It's like if you get bit by a zombie, oh my gosh, you're sure to turn into a zombie and you're sure to die or something. This isn't the same case. The majority of people who get the coronavirus do not die. I mean, I think there's 1,000 cases in the U.S. and it's not a ton of people that have died relative to it.
But it's still serious because
it
they
is.
don't know anything about it. And I've been actually talking to doctors a lot because my daughter, she's prone to
Your
pneumonia.
daughter, she's my daughter.
Okay,
too.
your daughter too. She's gotten like pneumonia like 6 times. So we're really cautious about her getting a virus because her virus leads to pneumonia, or at least has 6 times. So, but then when I talked to the doctors, like the last time she went to the hospital, the doctors were like, yeah, we know about corona, but really we're treating it the same way we treat a flu. Yeah, we don't know much about it, but the symptoms are the same, so we're not freaking out, and you shouldn't either. So they actually made me feel a lot better. They're like, she's got a little virus and she's gonna get over it. Just keep on doing your proper hygiene. And they're right. 2 days later, she was good, and she went back to school. And then my neighbor, she's also a doctor, and we're like, oh yeah, we're back here early because of the coronavirus. Everyone's just being cautious. And then again, they were like, yeah, it's good to be cautious, but man, everyone's freaking out, and we're not. So it's good to know that at least the doctors are having some sense of calm, and they're moving forward to treating everybody. But then when we returned the car, after we got back from Cinequest,
Our rental car,
because we drove a rental car up there, the guy was like, oh, why are you returning it early? I was like, well, the coronavirus, so they canceled our event, and so we had to get back early. And the guy was like, oh, well, that sucks, but, there's a lot of panic. I was like, yeah, I know. And they said the last lady that turned in their car, she thought the end of the world was coming, and she was, like, panicking. And we were thinking she was going to die, not because of the coronavirus, but an anxiety attack.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she was really freaked out about corona and everything that was being said on the news and media and friends and speculations about how bad it is. And I'm just like, okay, man, there's a difference between being cautious and just living in fear. Because if corona's not going to get you...
The overabundance of caution.
Oh my gosh, anxiety will get you. And I feel like I could get anxiety over this, but I'm choosing not to get anxiety over it. I'm just going to keep doing whatever we can to be cautious. We've canceled some meetings.
Quote one of my favorite bands, REM. It's the end of the world.
Oh,
as you know.
No. People are going to...
we know it, and I feel fine. But I feel fine.
But I feel
That's
fine.
The line. That's the line.
But people are going to listen to this podcast and they're going to cut it off right before you say, I feel fine.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. No, it's not the end of the world. Like I said, it's not like if you get the disease, you're sure to die, like in those, I don't know if you ever saw that old movie Outbreak, but like that's what it was. Like people had to wear hazmat suits and everything because it's like, if you got a touch of that virus, it's like it was terminal, like in 24 hours, you have to race against the clock to go save the world. That's the plot of a movie, right?
But what I hate is when I try to talk reasonably, people think I'm blowing it off. And I'm like, I'm not blowing it off. I'm just trying to be reasonable. And what I hate is when people accuse me of being like blowing it off when I'm not. I'm like, I'm doing everything I can to keep us all safe, but I've got to live life. I've got to work. I mean, I got bills to pay. We gotta go we gotta buy groceries.
We have a lot of friends, and some of you out there maybe in this category is, their companies are saying stay home and work if you can work. Telecommute. Obviously, you can't work from home if you're a grocery, cashier, or if you're a doctor,
or if
right?
you work in manufacturing, or
there's a lot of jobs that you can't do, but like if you're doing admin or accounting or other things, like you can work from home. Thank God for computers. Schools have gotten canceled. A lot of universities, they're telling all the students to stay at home and take classes. A lot of the UCs, a lot of the California colleges are doing that. We haven't closed our elementary schools here, so I know some districts can, but
we've cut off all our meetings. We've limited volunteers to the school. Yeah,
so they've canceled all the activities for the next month, where, we're supposed to have a math night where there's supposed to be math games,
right.
a jogathon, a fundraiser for the kids. So we've even canceled that or postponed it. Everything's like postponed. Like Cinequest was not completely canceled.
No.
It was just postponed into the back half of August,
right,
summer.
And I always question, like, why do you set that date? Why do you set that date? Do you know something that I don't know? like is the virus going to be gone by August? But then I was talking to doctors again, and they're like, well, the end of the flu season and most virus seasons are the summer. They just don't last. So I think they're just making that assumption that, everything will be better in the summer because they can't stand
Right.
dry heat.
And even
Viruses don't like dry
and
heat.
even by then, hopefully they'll have other preventative measures. I mean, I think they said that they can't come up with a vaccine for probably like another year to fight this. Not that the flu shot has been really helpful the last like few years. Didn't Callia get our daughter
She's
got a
gotten the
flu
flu-
shot, and she got flu A like a few weeks ago.
Yes, and she always gets a flu shot.
And
So we are always cautious.
I did not get a flu shot this year because I just kind of forgot, and I went over to Target the other day and they didn't have any more. And so people say like, oh, you should still get a flu shot. I'm like, I don't know. Should I? Does it make a difference?
It's not going to
It's not going to
help you
with
for corona.
Right? And they said like, well, protecting you against other flus. But I'm like, I've also gotten the flu shot like another year and gotten the flu too. So it's always one of those things where I don't know. I don't like pumping a lot of chemicals into my body. So, but the other thing is that's kind of crazy is now we went to Cinequest and got some really great responses to our film. One lady who happened to be Caucasian came up to me, afterwards. She's like, "You need to have this, film in every school, and everybody needs to see that." And we just had a really enthusiastic audience. And so we're like, "Yes, we're trying to get it out there." Of course, now with the coronavirus,
Yeah, we
a
can't.
lot of our film festivals that we were supposed to be at are kind of in jeopardy. Cinequest being the first one. I mean, we at least got to Cinequest and got to do 2 screenings, whereas South by Southwest didn't even get off the ground. They completely canceled it. And I felt terrible for the filmmakers. Thank God we didn't submit to South by Southwest. We weren't done in time. Joking aside, I mean, for filmmakers, like that's like
this
your
is
make
hard.
or break. I mean, that's like your big premiere, and people are not going to be able to watch your film or hear about your film if it's canceled.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday someone was telling me these places are borderline unethical for even considering to leave their public gathering open. I'm like, oh my gosh. These people have been working, like for us, we've been working 4 years, gave up everything, and this is our time. And for all these other filmmakers, they've been working years and years, not getting paid, going into debt, and they're waiting for this moment. And you're accusing people of being unethical for allowing people to watch their movie.
And it's the risk versus what the cost is, right?
Yeah, it's hard we're not saying, we're not, if these people don't want to come because they feel unsafe, then they don't have to come.
And we had some friends who actually said, we were concerned about it. We're sorry we can't make it. And it's understandable.
Yeah.
We didn't want to push anybody, make them feel guilty. Like, oh my gosh, you totally should have come,
Yeah, but the environment was a safe condition. There was sanitizer everywhere. The bathrooms were really clean. We made announcements. We told people, don't touch my elderly parents, and don't touch my little girl.
We're doing the elbow bump and the foot kick or whatever.
We did the Bash Brothers thing.
Yeah.
So we did everything we could, and some people were wearing masks just as precaution. Great, although that freaked out my daughter. She was like, I don't want to go over there.
Like,
he's wearing a mask.
Hannibal Lecter. Not that she
So-
knows who Hannibal Lecter is, but that's what
Yeah.
kind of people started looking like, and I think that's the thing. It's like there's certain gatherings. I understand like the large gatherings, like over 1,000 people, you're in a close proximity. That kind of makes sense. That's kind of what the mandate is right now, is anything over 1,000 people is getting canceled or postponed. But there's a lot of money. I mean, even like Cinequest, they were saying they're going to lose a lot of money on this because they didn't sell enough tickets, or their sponsors and vendors and people who paid, to be part of this. It's like a lot of money wasted. I mean, it's just very hard to make that call and say like, oh, well, it's, unethical. It's an easy decision to make when you don't have to make that decision, right?
Right.
It really is.
Yeah, when you have a nice cushy job that you can just go at home.
And that's the thing with the schools too, because we live in a city where it's socioeconomically very diverse, and so we have people that are, both parents are working jobs, and they're working lower income jobs.
Yeah, they have to leave to go to work.
If you canceled school, what are the kids going to do, right? Like, they can't afford childcare. It's easy for people in the middle and upper class to say, oh, we're just going to stay home with their kids. A lot of the people that are working 2 jobs, like, they can't afford that. And so they need to keep the schools open for that, for childcare alone and supervision, because people do still have to pay bills. So going back to kind of our future festivals now, we're supposed to be at the Oxford Film Festival next week.
Right, and they sent out a
March 20 and 22nd.
And they did send out a statement that it's going on because they don't have any cases over there, but they're taking it day by day. They're doing daily announcements up until and during the festival.
So I've never been so glued to my phone. Like my phone, like I didn't think having to monitor a flu would, or virus, or however you want to define it, the coronavirus, COVID-19. I'd be like glued to my phone monitoring ongoing condition. It keeps changing, right? Because
Yeah.
even at Cinequest, it was like, it was fine. They made a statement. Okay, we're great. Like, you know, we're still on. And even up until when we were started screenings, then things changed. And even like at school, it's like yesterday we got like I think 3 different emails going like, yeah, the jogathon is on. We just postponed it to March 27th. Then we got an email
Then
like
1
5
hour.
hours later.
No, 1 hour.
1 hour later, saying like, okay, it's off like indefinitely. And then it was like not just that. Then it was like all these emails like, okay,
Yeah.
anybody can't gather. You were supposed to have a meeting. Nobody can meet on campus. Nobody can meet.
And
like,
my daughter was crying this morning because I was supposed to walk her in so that she can have breakfast. And she likes it when I stay there for breakfast. And she was like, they're not going to let you in for breakfast? And then she started crying in the car. She was crying the entire time in the car. I'm just like, sorry. They're going to kick me out. And they did.
I'm shaking my fist at you, COVID-19.
So,
And it's just a shame. So we were accepted into several other film festivals.
yes. And
We
they're
cannot
all...
make that announcement yet because they were all up for debate now as far
Yes.
as when are they going to happen. Some of them were going to happen in May. Actually, the majority of them were going to happen in May and
Yep,
June
and April.
and April. And so all their status is actually
Yep.
on the fence right now. So that being said, you know, we'll be making updates if you follow us on our Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. And of course, for our film Far East Deep South, you can go to fareastdeepsouth.com. You can sign up on our email list. That's actually the best way if you actually check emails, because I know you were just complaining about people not checking their emails.
Yeah, that's the only way I can search all my messages. I can't search them on my WhatsApp or on my text messages. Can't send whole paragraphs on a text. I'm not going to read it on my phone.
Yeah, so this is like, I gave you this tip, is like if you send somebody an email, you follow up with a text if they haven't
guess
read
so,
it and
yeah.
go. I know it's like double the work, but that's unfortunately the day and age, because I'm one of those people like that sometimes misses emails in the glut of emails. So if you want to find out when our film is going to be shown next, we will be making announcements in that regard. Of course, we hope you guys exercise safe practices as much as we feel like some of this is blown out of proportion. People are getting sick, especially elderly people. Like, you know, if
Yes.
you're over 55 and you have respiratory conditions, you have to take special caution. We told my dad, who is in that category, he's almost 80 and he's got respiratory issues.
Yeah.
He's not leaving the house.
My dad was brave this weekend, so props to you, Dad. I hope you stay safe.
Right. And so everyone else...
His
you know,
knee hurt more than his...
His
he
knee
was
hurt.
complaining about his knee, not the corona stuff.
One of the only good things about this spreading around the world to other countries is like Italy is the second like most affected country. And I
Wait,
hate
that's
Germany.
a good thing that it's
And
affected?
Germany. No, I mean, I'm not saying like it's good. Like Germany and like Italy are like right up there now, starting to get up there. Like they actually say in China, it's starting to taper off, at least level off. I mean, there's still a lot more people in China that were affected, but it's not increasing exponentially where it's like Italy, they shut down the whole country. They have a curfew of 6 p.m. So at least it's not that extreme in the U.S. yet. But, you know, hopefully that's going to help some of the racist attacks that we've been hearing, like people blaming the Chinese and all that, because, look, Italians got it too, Germans got it too. It's not just a China issue now.
Hey, I'm a fifth generation American, and then the other day I was walking out of a meeting, going in through the lobby, and that essential oil stuff was so strong, or somebody's perfume, and then I sneezed, and I like immediately saw people looking at me. And I'm just like, what the heck? I'm fifth generation American. Come on.
Yeah, there was like a couple of like college students that got beat up too over this. I mean, I know we talked a little bit about it in our last podcast, but that's just not cool that, you know, Chinese, even though you're American, I mean, that's why we did our movies, so that people can distinguish between people being in America and people being, you know, born overseas. So are we going to beat up Italians
I don't
and
know.
Germans now?
But there are now reports saying that they think that, you know, Wuhan had their Wuhan games, and people from all over the world went to the Wuhan games, and they think it actually might have originated from the U.S. And somebody from the U.S. brought it to Wuhan, and that's where it spread. So this is getting crazy.
Yeah, they don't really know how this happened. They have their theories. So we talked about Cinequest and South by Southwest getting canceled, but you know what? It's actually hitting the sports world too now, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think my Kings game just got canceled.
I think it did. So there's a crazy thing that's happening is the NBA season has just been suspended. Like they're not going to play any more games for the rest of the season until they figure out, when the coast is clear. And you know why?
Why?
Because one of the Utah Jazz players
Oh.
just tested positive for coronavirus.
I heard about that.
In
And he was
fact-
like touching things and stuff.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert actually just the other day, apparently during his press conference, was touching all the microphones and joking about it. So he is definitely not having the last laugh right now.
Wait, did he actually know he had it?
No, I don't think he did. I think he was just joking. But apparently they suspended the game. They were postponing the game actually, like right before it was happening. Like all the players, they were playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they were in the arena, and they didn't come out of their locker rooms because I think they were waiting for this test. And all of a sudden, the announcer, I saw like the video of it. He just said, "The game is now postponed. Go home, everybody, due to unforeseen circumstances."
Huh.
And so then later on, the NBA just issued the statement that they were going to be suspending the whole season for now. So that all games, the rest of the season, there's about like 15 to 20 games. And so, I don't know, it might get replayed during the summer. I mean, this is all happening so fast. Like, in fact, like, I felt like I was just reading my feed, my news feed constantly, and like something new popped up. Like earlier today, it was the NCAA, March Madness, the women's and men's college basketball tournaments are now going to be played in front of no people. Of course, by the time people listen to this podcast, it's very possible that it could be canceled altogether too.
Yeah, and I think NHL might be doing it. I think right now they are still doing it.
Same thing with MLB. Baseball season is going on. I mean, the only people that aren't doing anything is like football, right?
So the good thing is that people are taking this seriously. Hopefully they're not taking it to the point where everyone's just like super, super scared. But I feel like if there's any good side to this, if there is such a thing, that it gets people to do what they should have been doing already for the last couple decades, which is wash your hands before and after you eat. That's right, before and after, because your hands are dirty after too.
And
but
after you pee.
And after you go to the bathroom, there's a lot of people that don't practice good hygiene. I've always been mad at people that come to work sick. So at least finally now, people are taking it seriously and not coming to work sick. So hopefully, I mean, this is a lesson to everybody, and in that we should take better care of ourselves and not get to this point where now we're forced to have to take care of ourselves.
Okay, so what's up with the whole toilet paper thing? That's the thing I want to know.
That part I don't understand.
I mean, there's a lot of things that people can hoard. I mean, the water, to an extent, I don't understand either, because it's like our water supply is not contaminated by a virus. So, I mean, back in the day, people actually drank tap water before bottled water.
Out of the hose?
You would have been out of a job if we didn't, have bottled water. They were like one of your clients when you were engineering, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of bottled water.
So all of a sudden, people are hoarding bottled water and toilet paper, and I'm thinking food. I get food would be understandable. Like if you can't leave the house, you need to stock up on food and your meds, of course. But like toilet paper, I mean, yeah, you need it, but at the same time, it's like you could use paper towels, you can use tissues.
Maybe people just don't want to leave the house, and they're thinking, if I just have enough of toilet paper and water, then I could probably just live in my house.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like, if you just wash your hands right after, like, you could, like, if, you've had to be out in the woods or whatever, you have to go. Or you could use a rag towel to, like, wipe and then just wash that.
Wait, wipe your butt?
I don't know. You just set aside some towels. Look, you have reusable diapers, right? Like you wash your washcloth diapers, so you can have cloth toilet paper.
Okay, that's
too
much.
Same thing. I mean, what do you think people did back in the day before they had toilet paper? Like you had to wipe somehow, and you just didn't have like disposable stuff.
No, please use toilet paper for that.
All right. Well, what's really crazy too is like we actually know somebody that has been in contact with somebody who has had the coronavirus just diagnosed too, and I hope our friend is okay. Because again, back to the entertainment world, this is where people start, I think, putting a face to the virus, right? Because first it's Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz,
who I have no idea who he is.
So yeah, he's one of those. He's one of the younger players. Okay. You're aging yourself a little bit. Yeah. He doesn't play for your team, right? He's from France. Okay, so he's not American. And now we have some celebrities. Tom Hanks big movie star, one of the biggest movie stars in the world, and his wife Rita Wilson. And we have an interest.
They both?
They both were diagnosed with it, and they are currently in Australia. Tom is apparently
in Australia.
Tom is apparently shooting a film, a new Baz Luhrmann film on Elvis. And Rita Wilson is out there too, and she just did some concerts. Why do I know that? Because one of our friends and guitarist who's played in our band, Andrew, plays in her band. And so hopefully he didn't get the virus. We don't know. I don't know if he's back yet. He lives not too far from us. And he's a healthy guy. He's fairly young. So even if he did get it, it should be fine. But that really hits home when you have friends that are really in contact with somebody.
Definitely. But I think the good news is I think Tom Hanks' son is saying like, hey, his dad feels great. He feels like he's going to recover. And it's one of those things that even the World Health Organization, who now calls a pandemic, says, let's not treat this any different than we've been treating it. Yeah, we're tagging on the pandemic name, but let's keep treating this the same way we've been treating it. Practice good hygiene, and please be aware that most people are going to live through this and just,
It's just like having the regular flu, if you're healthy.
Yeah, but they're saying it's way more, dangerous than the regular flu, but we treat it the same way.
Right. It's passing from person to person a little bit more.
And it lasts a little longer, I guess, outside the body.
Right. And I think that's like what the crazy thing is, especially with the NBA players, I saw this chart, where they were saying like, so the Utah Jazz played this team and then that team played that team and this team. So
man.
I think almost everybody might need to be tested in the NBA who has played against them in the last, 5 to 10 days. So that's actually kind of scary to think about.
Well, what they're not really talking about too much, because it might cause more fear in people, is that they're thinking that even in the U.S., people have had corona for a long time, but they've just been diagnosed with flu because there was no corona testing back in September and October or anything like that, right? There was just, you go to the doctor and you felt sick, you had a little fever, and you might have had a cough, and they were like, you just got the flu, just stay home, don't go to work, drink your fluids, and maybe they get some albuterol to help you with some breathing and then
you just got over it.
Yeah, and most of those now doctors and and researchers are thinking there's probably been like thousands of people that have gotten corona but have not even known it.
That's true.
How do we even measure that? That's hard.
I mean, and that's the thing where it feels like every time we read a news piece, like it's happening, and then you realize, okay, it is not an alien infection, right? Like we're not all going to become these like blobs.
Not yet.
Like we're not going to turn into monsters and zombies after we get this virus. We just might have the sniffles, and I think all the athletes are going to be fine if they were contracted because they're all fairly healthy, right? So they should be able to recover with no problem. And like you said, even Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson are not feeling great, but they are recovering and they should be fine.
I think his son said they're feeling fine.
They are feeling fine. So, and hopefully our friend, if he ended up getting it, he'll be fine. And good thing his wife's a doctor.
We definitely hope so.
And so I know the overabundance of caution and social distancing now, we're supposed to...
That is a key word,
social distancing is the key phrase I keep seeing popping up all over social media and the news. And, the president just recommended shutting down the flights from Europe to the U.S. because, as we mentioned, a lot of stuff is going on in Europe and, they don't want it to come to the U.S., even though it's here already, but they don't want to make it worse.
Right.
And my mom is, like, freaking out because
my dad is, too.
Well, your dad has just sent a few texts earlier, and my mom sent me a bunch of texts, and because my mom just told me my uncle is in Europe right now. He went on vacation, and she actually said she told him not to go, so now she's playing the older sister and going, I told you so. He's fortunately Canadian, so as of right now, I don't think Canada has banned people coming back from Europe, but the U.S. has.
Can they just fly into Canada and then
sneak over the border?
Okay, I did not just recommend that for any of you listening over there in Europe.
Yeah, if you get stuck in Europe, fly to Canada
or
and
Mexico.
Then come over.
Well, Mexico, you're never getting
in. We have a different border issue now. I don't know. I think things. There is border patrol at the Canadian border as well because I've gone through there several times by car to go visit my uncle, and so hopefully my uncle will be able to make it back If not, he's going to be stranded in Europe, and I don't know where in Europe he is. So my mom is definitely panicking a little bit about my uncle.
Being cautious is definitely something we all have to do, and I really just hope people will just, do the things we should be doing. We should be keeping clean. We should be having proper hygiene. We should be sleeping, getting proper rest so our immune system is strong. Take your vitamins. I like taking vitamins. It's not that hard to take vitamins, and just eat healthy food. Keep healthy, and we have a lot of great doctors, and the U.S. and Canada is a lot cleaner than some of these other countries. So please don't panic. We don't want you to get sick of the anxiety issues, and
Well, I mean, unfortunately, the fallout is real from all this, and I hope people will stay calm, and this will blow over in a few weeks. But we just hope that everybody just is safe and that doesn't spread to other countries. It's not just a China thing anymore. It really is an international crisis. And so let's all band together, regardless of what color, regardless of what country you're from, and let's try to get this and nip this in the bud.
That's right.
In the meantime, you can catch us on social media at LDD Podcast. We will probably be updating you more via social media because by the time you listen to this, we have no idea what the state of the country is going to be and what other fallout's going to happen. But we'd like to hear from you as well and tell us how you've been affected and how you feel, whether you are scared or you think this is an overreaction by everybody. Well, we will see you next time, hopefully in a healthier, safer environment in the world.